Yo, what's good, good people? I welcome you back again to a brand new podcast presentation of Yosef's 2 Cents. Tonight, I want to discuss something very important, vitally important, that I believe that people are not taking into account or consideration. And that is the 3 dimensions of personal relationships. If we're going to talk about relationships, we really have to get down to the nitty gritty. And let's just be honest and legitimate about what is going on and what continues to go on. I do apologize for my tardiness. Things happen beyond my control, but thank the Most High, we are on the air. So let us do what we always do, and that is sit down and reason together. Don't go too far. We will get started in just a few moments. All right, folks. Once again, I thank you so much for joining me tonight for another podcast presentation of Yosef's 2 Cents. It's me. I'm your man, Yosef X. But tonight I felt like being more formal in putting up my recently new honorary degree, or honorary titles, I should say. And I want to express my heartfelt thanks again for your support, your viewership, and your followership as well. Let's see who we have. As always, we got Brother Sam in the house. We got Sister Giselle in the house. We got Brother Barron in the house. And we have Lady Marla. Good evening to all of you. And I want to thank you again for your viewership and followership and making Yosef's 2 Cents, a part of your Sunday evening routine. Hey, Brother Lowry, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining me tonight on the YouTube side. Thank you so much for joining the fray. Appreciate you, man. I hope you all have had a very fantastic Sunday afternoon and you're having a very peaceful Sunday evening. I'm definitely am not going to be on for too long, but there is some things that I feel the need that has to be addressed. And normally I talk about, what's going on in the entertainment field and the shenanigans of these entertainers and how much they really are nothing more than just commoners with money. Because if they're not blowing their money on foolishness, then they are engaging in foolishness. So I figured tonight I would just stray away from talking about the shenanigans of these entertainers and become more personal of sorts. See, everybody's talking about relationships, which is no problem. We can talk about relationships. And all throughout the week, I was brainstorming as to what I was going to discuss. Couldn't figure it out. And believe it or not, it wasn't until really about an hour and a half before we went on the air until I decided that I was going to talk about 3 dimensions of personal relationships. Yeah, there are 3 dimensions of personal relationships. The first dimension is a personal relationship with the Most High, a personal relationship with yourself, and then personal relationships with people outside of yourself and outside of the Most High as well. And the brainchild of me wanting to talk about the 3 dimensions of personal relationships stems from the dialogue and the conversation that I was having with my lady last night. And also throughout the week. And she was informing me about certain interactions that people were having. And between our dialogue and what I had a chance to listen very briefly to a YouTuber about how women, privileged women with this mindset of being entitled to men protecting them. Now, I'm going to delve into that in a moment because the level of entitlement that these females have, it is what I call astronomically disturbing, because we continue to see and observe the psychological apparatus and their hygiene continue to literally deteriorate. And to make it so bad, they know not that their mentality, their mental hygiene, their mental health continues to deteriorate at a fast pace. Sister Israel, good evening to you as well. Thanks for joining us. Happy to have you to join the fray. So there are 3 dimensions of personal relationships. Number 1, there's a personal relationship with the Most High. Because most of you who are my loyalists and my followers, you believe that there is a higher power. There is a supreme being. Whether you are Hebrew Israelite, whether you are Christian, whether you are Muslim, or whether you are an agnostic, in your sojourn, humanistically speaking, you have observed evidence that there is a higher power somewhere, someplace. Whether you have observed it in person, in nature, or whether you have seen somebody give birth, or you have aided and assisted somebody giving birth, you have seen there is a belief and a conviction within you that there is a higher power. And we have books of literature that is supposed to serve as moral guides and moral compasses along our way to helping and assisting us to become better men and women, children of the Most High, sons and daughters of the Most High. Hebrew Israelites and Christians use the Bible. Muslims use the Quran. Other Muslims use both Bible and Quran to analyze and dissect the interpretation of the hidden meanings behind the words that have been written in print. But in recent times, we continue to see and observe that there is a great falling away from the belief that there is a higher power in the universe someplace. And it's obvious because we see it in the behavioral patterns of man. We see it. We are observing of this all the time. And we can tell that the deterioration of one's relationship with the Most High continues to deteriorate because of their lack of obedience, their lack of commitment, their lack of trust in the Most High, which mainly is because, once again, of the mindsets of people that continues to deteriorate. For as long as you have been following me, I've never really been religious. I've never preached religion. I have always strided and prided myself on practicing having a relationship, not religion. Because it's not about religion. Because if one is religious, that means he or she or they is focusing on the philosophical religious ideologies and beliefs and interpretations of other religions to control the mind and to have power over people. My task, on the other hand, has always been to allow the Most High to have influence and power over you. So having a personal relationship with the Most High, that's going to pop, because it's taught in the scriptures of the Bible that because iniquity abounds, the love of man shall wax cold. Now, mind you, some of the same Christians, some of the same Hebrew Israelites, some of the same Muslims even, they can study both the Bible and Quran all day, all night. They can dissect it. They can interpret it. They can understand it. They can comprehend it. But it's not written on the table of their heart, meaning they are not convicted by its teachings. Because collectively, we engage, right? We engage in activities that both the Bible and Quran condemn. And anything that the Bible and Quran condemns, we engage in it. But anything that the Bible and Quran condones, we rebel, we revolt against it. Notice how crazy it is. Give me 1 second. False alarm. My apologies. So you have to ask yourself the question, have I truly been following the Most High, or have I been under the influence of other people's ideations or ideologies, pardon me? Because in my evolutionary march towards that which is the absolute and finalization of life, I've come to realize that each speaker that I choose and elect to listen to, I listen to them very carefully. And sometimes I have to listen to them and take them at their words with a grain of salt. Let's get to your observations right quick before we continue on. Principalities. Yes. Principalities. Yes. Now, in the intellectual community, principalities will be classified as a subject matter that's dealing with metaphysics. It means the same thing, but they use in different dialogue or different dialect. Pardon me. I'm gonna delve more into that in a second. Yeah, all day, every day. Yeah. Brother Barron says factual. Brother Sam says the relationship is a test of your personal commitment. I'm gonna delve into those two things more in a second. Brother Barron says, teach, sir. Nadia, what's going on? Thanks for joining the fray. Appreciate it. Lady Marla says, so true. Yeah. Now, look, we call them principalities because we go off of the teachings of the scriptures of the Bible. And when we mean principalities, we mean forces, outside forces that are supernatural, that manifest themselves in either other human beings or in nature. We call that the spiritual realm, principalities, demons versus angels. In the intellectual community, that will be known as metaphysics, dealing with those things that's spiritual. See? But the intellectual juggernauts, if you pay attention to their dialogue and their dialect and their different subjects and theses they discuss, most of your intellectual juggernauts are staunch atheists. They are staunch atheists. They do not believe that a higher power even exists. Not at all. They do not acknowledge the existence of the Most High. They do not acknowledge the power of a higher power at all. They don't. They don't. As a matter of fact, the intellectual juggernauts in the intellectual community would call us having, those of us who are believers, of course, they would classify us as having mental illness because their logic, and understandably so, their logic and their question is, how can you believe in the invincible? How can you believe in a power that you have never seen before? How is it even possible for you to even go and believe in such nonsense? Whether people have said this to me or whether they haven't, my belief is, if they've heard my commentary before, they will say within themselves, now Yosef Benjamin is no dummy. That young man is one of the most intelligent young men I've ever ran across. But he's a paradoxical man because as intellectual as he can be, his level of understanding of the human listical condition, his understanding of human nature is next to none. He knows things that most people don't know, and yet he believes in a higher power. How is that? How is it even possible for him to delve into deep subject matters? Because in his own right, he's a deep philosopher. He's a deep thinker. How is it that he's able to believe in a higher power? It's simple. For me, the same way, right, that scientists operates off of faith in terms of water, I operate off of faith in terms that there has to be a higher power someplace, because as gifted as man is with his or her ingenuity, we couldn't have created the glow in the moon, the twinkle in the stars, the blade in the grass, the wave in the ocean, the heat and the fire of the sun. We couldn't have thought of this. Our minds are too finite. Our minds are too carnal. See? And because that's my belief that we are too finite to even think of these things. And see, tonight, I don't have any notes. This is strictly off the cuff, straight no chaser. This is all me. I have no notes tonight. This is just off the cuff, off rip. How is it possible that there not be a higher power that's able to allow for a woman to give birth and to carry life in her womb for 9 months, and after she gives birth, to produce milk for that baby to receive its nourishment from? Ain't nobody but the Most High. You kidding me? Not even I could have thought of this. Not even you could have thought of this. The basis of my belief and my conviction that there is a higher power somewhere is in nature. And I'm not talking about government controlled nature. I'm talking about when the government and other governments of the world is not screwing up with the weather. There is a higher power someplace. The problem is, I believe that all of us, whether we confess to be believers or not, we know that there's a higher power someplace. But some of us, a lot of us, are really just too hard-headed and stubborn and pig-headed to even acknowledge that there is a higher power someplace. That's just me. That's just me. Now, let me share this with y'all right quick. One of my favorite pulpit orators, the late great Dr. Gardner Calvin Taylor. I'm telling you, he was one of my favorite pulpit orators. He passed away some years ago. Now, remember I said just a few seconds ago, right, that every scientist, right, every scientist performs an act of faith, just like I try my best to exercise an act of faith. What is that act of faith that scientists performs? The scientist exercises faith that the foundations of yesterday, right? Water as an example, being 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen today. The same way that scientist operates that act of faith, the same way I operate my faith. There is a supreme being in the universe. Are y'all following me so far? If I'm getting ahead of you, just tell me, brother Yosef, chill out, bro. But I want y'all to really understand this. The same way that scientist operates the faith that the foundations of yesterday, water being 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part of oxygen, are true today. And I am of the opinion and the conviction that a personal presence, a higher presence, a higher power is behind this reliability. Because I'm learning every day to build each day on the experience of yesterday. See? J. Cole, what's going on, bro? Thanks for joining us tonight. Good to see you, man. So that's why it's easy for me to operate off of the faith that there is a higher power in my life. And see, for me, this is my personal testimony. The Most High is everywhere. He's omnipresent. He's omnipotent. He's omniscient. He's omnipresent. He's in everything. He's in every place. He's even, I tell you how he reveals himself, or how he chooses to reveal himself. If we choose to listen, right? If we choose to just simply stay, just to be quiet for just a second, right? The reality is we don't like quiet. I don't know what it is, but we hate quiet. We do. Why we hate quiet, I don't know. But being quiet and being in a quiet ecology or environment is soothing. It's peaceful. Why is it soothing and why is it peaceful? Because we live in a weaponized society. We live in a weaponized world. But I also understand that we are both flesh and blood as well as spiritual beings. We're spiritual beings as well as physical beings. There you go, Brother Barron. He says, because I know my life was not created by me. It had to be the creator. There you go. For me, validation is proven every single day that there is a higher power someplace. Now, that observation by Nadi, she says most people will fake their life because they're not bona fide. That's kind of the gateway to the second dimension of personal relationships, and that's the relationship of self. If y'all really think about it, that's kind of the dimension of not having a healthy relationship of self. Now, here's the thing. Here's the issue. Men and women, right? Men and women do not want to take responsibility for themselves. Pay attention to the nature of contemporary man and woman. Everything is about self, being selfish, self-sabotaging. Think about it. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't love yourself. You should. Because low self-esteem or having an inferiority complex, that's not healthy. There's nothing healthy about that at all. J. Cole says, if you want a quiet environment, go up north camping for a weekend and listen to the sounds of nature. Man, listen. I tell you something else too. And this is what I do personally for myself sometimes that helps me sleep a lot better. I'll go on YouTube and I'll dim the light from my laptop and I'll listen to the sounds of what is known as kindling wood, fire burning, the cracking. It's so peaceful and so relaxing. Or you can listen to the sound of the waves crashing. That helps too. It helps. Now, the second dimension of personal relationships is the relationship with self. I'm going to talk about that. I'm getting ready to talk about that right now. It's strange to me, right? Listen good. It's strange to me that we're taught to believe in the higher power. We're taught to believe in the Most High, but we aren't really taught to believe in ourselves. How is it that in your churches and in your mosques and in your synagogues, you're taught to believe about the power of the supreme being, right? But you're not taught to do for self and to believe in self. If anything, you're taught to tolerate and handle disrespect. The biggest purveyor of cognitive dissonance is the church, the mosque, and the synagogues. What? You heard me. The biggest purveyors of cognitive dissonance, the biggest purveyors of allowing for other people to take disrespect is the church, the mosque, and the synagogues. How are you going to believe in a higher power? How are you going to believe in a higher power and not believe in yourself? Even Paul the apostle said, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. See, this is why you have to listen to every speaker with a grain of sand, a grain of salt. You have to. one of the biggest topics to me that is not discussed enough is self-love and self-care. I'm not talking about being selfish. I'm talking about having love and respect for yourself. How many of y'all saw that status where I posted up there where it says, I apologize for myself for showing people the same love that I haven't been showing myself? How many of you all saw that status on my profile? Y'all saw that, right? And see, here's the thing. See, this is also going to help you to improve in your relationship with yourself. Actually, it's going to help you improve your relationship with the Most High, yourself, and your other personal relationships outside of the Most High and yourself. Listen good. Every time you say, I am, that's self-fulfilling prophecy. It is. It could be the smallest thing, like I'm going to go to the store, or I'm going to go out of town, this, that, and the third, or I'm going to be all right. I'm going to make it. That's self-fulfilling prophecy. Because in your Bible, where it talks in Proverbs, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Let me get to your observations. J. Cole says that alive religion, Christianity, taught us to turn the other cheek. He continues. That slave religion told us turn the other cheek. Yeah. Brother Sam says love starts at home as a toddler and your upbringing. Yeah. 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 So y'all saw that status that I posted. Good. Good. See, and then here's something else to remember also. Death and life, right? Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Be careful of the words you speak, not just over yourself, but be careful of what you allow other people to speak over you too. Think about it. Think about it. And notice that when I'm talking about the relationship of self, I'm not excluding the Most High. I'm including him. Why am I including the Most High? It's simple. Psalm 82:6. Ye are gods. Ye are children of the Most High God. Right? What does that mean? You're made in the image and likeness of the Most High, your creator. You are a spiritual being. Your humanistical experiences is not or should not allow it to define you. what I'm really saying is, or trying to convey, you're more than just human. You're more than just your humanistical experiences, whether it's good or bad. There's more to you than this. It's what I'm really saying to you. There's more to you. A whole lot more to you than just being human. In the book of Genesis, in the Torah, I believe it's Genesis 2 and 7, the book of Genesis, the book of beginnings. It talks about where it says, and the Lord God formed man and blew into his nostrils the breath of life. The breath of life, that's immortality. Spirit. This is why I argue the point there's more, you're more than just human. And a lot of times when we get hooked on drugs and when we get hooked on alcohol, if you really think about it, all of these different drugs, marijuana, opioids, heroin, it's really medication. But because of our miseducation and misunderstanding of these things, that is why it was so easy for us to become addicted. Our misunderstanding of what these things are. We've taken everything that the Most High has spoken into existence and created, and we've abused it. Not only have we taken it and we've abused it, guess what? We've taken it and we prostituted ourselves for it. Sure have. Yeah. Now, Giselle makes a good point. She says lots of people have trust issues that they have built through the years and use that hatred towards others. Hurt people, hurt people. And multiple sex partners, precisely. Now, let me say this too. People nowadays love misery. And the depth of their love for dysfunction has gotten to the place where people trauma bond. And when you give somebody solutions to their problems, to their issues, they will get angry with you. They will hate you. They will not respect you. And this is prevalent in a lot of these Facebook groups. It's prevalent in these Facebook groups. Let me ask y'all a question. You all have heard of trauma bonding, right? Y'all have heard of this, right? It is awkward, yes. Y'all have heard of this, right? Trauma bonding. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with this terminology, in layman's terms, trauma bonding means when a man or a woman or a group of people who are wallowing in misery will come together and will bond while still being miserable. They will talk about their past traumas and expect sympathy from people, especially when the person is encouraging them and giving them solutions to their dilemmas. They reject the solution to the problem, and they will continue on wallowing in their misery. See? That's how that is. It's unfortunate, but this is commonplace now. And honestly, it's been commonplace for a long, long, long time. Long time. All right, y'all. It's 45 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. So when we come back from our brief intermission, right, I'm going to talk about the third and final dimension of personal relationships. As relationships of romance, friendships, and we're going to touch a little bit on professional relationships as well. Because this third dimension of personal relationships, oh my Lord, mercy, man. I tell you, boy. Atrocious. Atrocious. And I want to let y'all know that the song that I'm getting ready to play, I don't own the copyrights to it. I do not own the copyrights to it. I'm playing under the Fair Use Act of 1976. I'm playing this for your enjoyment. And this song is by the great Shaggy, who is one of my favorite artists. One of my favorites. And this song is dedicated to all the so-called pick-me's. This song is dedicated to all the so-called pick-me's. The women that are wifey material. To the good women out there, whether you're in relationships or not. Tonight, your man Yosef X, the spiritual Ronin, Dr. Yosef Benjamin, Yosef X, I dedicate this song to all the so-called pick-me's. Because y'all are most deserving of it. Don't go too far. Yosef's 2 cents will be back in just a few moments. I dedicate this song to all of the so-called pick-me's, the honorable woman. Y'all enjoy it. This is for y'all.
Shaggy with a combination with Giannis. Flip this one when the musical mix. Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps, you are to me, baby. Shorty, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady. Life is one big party when you're still young, but who's gonna have your back when it's all done? Yeah. It's all good when you live for your pure fun. Can't be a fool, son. What about the long run? Looking for shorty, always a mention. Say me not giving her much attention. Yeah. She was there through my incarceration. I wanna show the nation my appreciation. Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps, you are to me, baby. Shorty, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady. You're a queen and that's how you should be treated. So you never get the loving that you needed. Yeah. Could have left but I call and you needed. Begged and I pleaded, mission completed. And I said that I like this the program. Not the type to mess around with your emotion. Yeah. But the feeling that I have for you is so strong. Been together so long and this could never be wrong. Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps, you are to me, baby. Shorty, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady. Notice that I'm a behavior. Say I'm a savior. You must be sent from up above. And you are getting me so tender. Say girl, I surrender. Thanks for giving me your love. Girl, it's that I'm a behavior. You are a savior. You must be sent from up above. And you are getting me so tender. Well, girl, I surrender. So thanks for giving me your love. Now life is one big party when you're still young. And who's gonna have your back when it's all done? It's all good when you live for your pure fun. Can't be a fool, son. What about the long run? Yeah. Looking good, shorty, always a mention. Say me not giving her much attention. Yeah. She was there through my incarceration. I wanna show the nation my appreciation. Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps, you are to me, baby. Shorty, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady. Girl, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Closer than my peeps, you are to me, baby. Shorty, you're my angel. You're my darling angel. Girl, you're my friend when I'm in need, lady.
Yes, indeed. Yes, 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 yes. That's for all the so-called pick-me's. And I got to be honest with you, too. When I decided that I was going to play this song, Marla, don't start crying, but I thought of you. I had to dedicate that song first and foremost to Marla first. Don't. Can somebody go check on Marla and see if she's crying, please? Don't cry. Is anybody near that's near her? Go check on Marla, please. Just make sure she's all right. That's all. But that song was especially meant for you, dear. I appreciate you. For all the things you've done, for all the things you taught me, much obliged. I ain't silly. How am I silly? I'm just trying to make sure she's all right. We all know she has a tender heart. And I'm the silly one. Well, I tell you, y'all something else. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to all of my new subscribers on the YouTube channel. I appreciate y'all for subscribing. There will be more content coming up in the following weeks to come. And I also want to thank y'all for your continued support, your viewership, and your followership as well. And if you want to donate, please, ma'am, please, sir, feel free to do so. Cash App ID is $hidden one truth. That's $hidden one truth. All right. It's 55 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. I'm not going to be on with y'all much longer, but I wanted to touch very, very briefly. Very, very briefly on the third and final dimension of personal relationships. That's relationships between man, woman, and your children. Wait a minute. Shaggy got blackballed? Yo, that bites, man. Why would Shaggy get blackballed? What did he do? That's grimy, man. Why in the world? That bites. That bites. Oh, you're welcome, Giselle. You're welcome. I'm not silly. I'm just, listen, we all know Lady Marla has a tender heart. I'm just trying to make sure she's all right. That's all. You can't fault me for that. Yes, it is, Giselle. And thank you again for your support. I appreciate it. Oh, man. So it had something to do with his wife? See, I'm glad I'm not a celebrity. I'm glad I'm not a celebrity. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm not a celebrity. I'm glad. Anyway, let me delve very, very quickly into this third and final dimension of personal relationships. And it has to do with the family structure. It has everything to do with the family structure, the family nucleus, which unfortunately continues to deteriorate at a very, very accelerated pace. Because, excuse me a minute, let me move this. Because I got to go back to the scriptures because the first relationship the very first relationship was between a man and a woman, Adam and Eve. The scripture says that the marriage bed is blessed. That's why marriage is so important. I really don't have time to really delve into it the way I want to, so I'm just going to give you the obvious. But the first relationship was between man and woman, married, Adam and Eve. Look at how far of the perpetual deterioration between man and woman has gotten. And like I said, this is going to be off the cuff. I don't have any notes tonight. I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm going off of things that I remember. But I'm going to say this. As destructive as feminism is, it has served a purpose. Feminism, as destructive as it is, it has served a purpose. And the purpose that feminism has served, it has allowed for all of us to know and to recognize who's who and who's not. Lord have mercy. Jay-Z is the jealous type. He lied saying that jealousy is a female trait. Oh, or I'm gonna delve into that characteristic of jealousy in a second. See, here's the thing. Feminism has revealed to us the true nature of a female and not a woman. Feminism has destroyed the family nucleus. And because feminism destroyed the family nucleus, this is one of the reasons why the divorce percentage in this country continues to skyrocket at an astronomically disturbing pace. There are more women that's single now than ever before. And you know what's so bad about it? These women, or rather these females, are single and they are miserable. They had good men in their life. They had the life that others dream of having, and they screwed it up. If they didn't screw it up because they were acting more masculine than a man, then guess what? Feminism also taught about women's liberation, sexual liberation. They just were simply saying that it was all right for a female to be loose, to be a harlot. But now all of these feminists talking about they don't need no man and they a boss bitch, pardon the French. slut walks. This is all of this has everything to do with the horrible ill effects of feminism. You got all these women out here on social media posing, pretending to live their best life when in essence they're on the verge of complete homelessness. And see, I'm not laughing about it. It's reality. It's reality. It's reality. Most females today will never be a wife. And the ones that were wives, they did not take into consideration how much of a horrible effect it would have on both the husband and the children until after the fact. But it's more than just feminism. It's more to it than that, of course. Because you got females that's married, but yet they're sleeping with their husband's cousin and getting impregnated by the husband's cousin, and they plan on keeping it hush hush. See, all this stuff that's been going on for years is starting to be brought to the light even more now. And a lot of these females are going to start taking dirt naps. More and more men are abandoning and they are dismissing the inner chains of inner restraints, and they are tapping into their inner barbarians and their inner Vikings, and they're taking matters into their own hands. That's why there's going to be a lot more women that's going to be slaughtered. These delusional, toxic females are in for a rude awakening, and it's going to cost them their life if they're not careful. You want to talk about relationships? See, let me tell you this too. When a woman says something, you can't take it. When a female says something, you can't take them at face value. No. They say one thing, but it's being interpreted as another. And a lot of these harlots are fooling themselves, thinking that they are entitled, like the whole world revolves around you. Please. And see, the biggest purveyors of this is the melanated woman. I mean, women are like this in general. They really are. But truth be told, when it comes down to a melanated woman, she doesn't even look at herself as being in the same nationality as a melanated man. She looks at herself as a totally different nationality altogether. They're now known as the Ku Klux Keisha. The Ku Klux Keisha. The new supremacist is the melanated woman that's been compromised. You're right, Brother Barrett. Demonic ships. Demonic ships. Yeah, feminists killed everything from relationships to marriages, and such a shame. Yeah, Jeezy is divorcing his wife. Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, I'm gonna leave this with y'all because I'm getting tired now and I got to get ready for work. I got to get up early in the morning. Look, the deal is people talk about marriage, but the fact is, people really don't believe in the institution of marriage. What they do believe in is holding the title minus the responsibility that goes along with the title of being a husband or a wife. Now that's real. You want titles, but you don't want the responsibility that goes along with it. And see, it's more and more men that's worth their salt, that's honorable and decent and respectful. They're the ones that's walking away. Let me ask you this. How many of you all have heard the old saying, marriage is nothing but a funeral with cake? How many of y'all have heard that saying? If y'all have heard that what people are saying, that marriage is a funeral with cake, how many of y'all have heard that? And do you know why it's being said that marriage is nothing more than a funeral with cake? You know why? Because women, or females rather, are initiating the divorces more so than the men. Let me tell you something. If you do get married, you better make sure it's not under the United States government. Don't get these marriage licenses with the United States government. You can forget it. Under the state, you can forget it. You better go another route. And if you Hebrew Israelite, especially, if you a Hebrew Israelite, especially, you better research and go about how you should get married. Because getting a license in the United States, man, you setting yourself up for failure. Marriage ain't nothing but a funeral with cake. I knew exactly what that meant. Yeah, the marriage license is nothing but a piece of paper. Yeah. Yeah, well, that piece of paper, it carries a lot of weight, and it will be the undoing and the downfall of a lot of men, and has been the downfall of a lot of men. That's why men ain't getting married no more. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So now, when it comes down to it, the deal is you have to be very, very, very careful with who you choose to mate with. I'm talking about the men and the women. If you don't have gold diggers out here that's just marrying you and really prostituting themselves to rob you of half of your wealth, then you got men out here pretending to be women and not letting you know up front that they are that they are transgenders, deceiving straight men, and they're getting killed for it, and getting brutally attacked for it. Women posing as men. I better be careful out here, man. And see, here in New York, it's gotten outrageous here. I'm seeing, and this is happening at the airport especially, as well as other stores. You got whole dudes with beards, wearing stockings, leggings. I ain't lying. Just as I'm serious. Just recently, there was a homosexual couple that was awarded $100,000. And the reason why they were awarded $100,000 was because they were denied getting a marriage license. Because somebody wouldn't perform the ceremony. Sure did. Sure did. That's why I'm telling y'all. Y'all want to talk about relationships? All right, let's talk relationships. And make sure that the relationships you're having is healthy, is happy, and is good to you, and is good for you. Because not all relationships is good to you. It may be good to you, or the benefits of it may be good to you, but is it good for you? That's the difference. And then you got a lot of women out here as well as a lot of men. But the atrocities that's being committed is being made more so by these females out here. Unresolved issues and past traumas from the past. Facts. Facts. You refuse to get any psychological counseling. You refuse to get psychological help. And you know good and hell well you need it. Be careful of people that don't want to get any counseling. Be careful of people that talks about they don't want to go to no psychologist, that don't need no help, because those are the same ones, the main ones that need the help the most. You be careful of them. I'm telling y'all, this is no game. This is no joke. You better get yourself some help. You better get yourself some counseling. You better see a psychologist, psychiatrist, a counselor. You better get it. You owe it to yourself to improve on your mental health. Mental health is important. Mental health is every bit as important as your physical health. It's the truth. Talking about, I don't need no help. This is just how I am. Guess what? Your crazy ass better get some help. Because if you don't, you talking about this is how you are. Guess what? You're gonna be like that all by yourself. What do I think about prenups? I applaud them. I'm all for prenups. I sure am. I am all for prenups. See, you got a lot of these idiot preachers that don't believe in prenups, but guess what? I believe in them. You should. You better take every single precaution you can. I believe in prenups. I believe it. I believe in prenups. And you make sure that the person that you plan on marrying signs that prenup. And if they don't sign the prenup, you do the same thing that Steven Jackson did. He left that chick right at the altar. She kept putting it off. She wasn't going to sign no prenup, so he did the right thing. Next her. Next. Ghost her. Next. Gentlemen, if you are a man that is in a totally different tax bracket and you are romantically interested in a woman and you know that woman is not in the same tax bracket as you, you make sure she signs that prenup. And if she doesn't, you pull the Steven Jackson. I mean that. I mean that. Oh, and here's something else that I'll throw in for free too. When you get that woman pregnant, after she gives birth, and it needs to be a law, get a DNA test. You heard me. Get a DNA test. Make sure that little rugrat is yours. All these trifling hoes out here getting extra sex, getting sex out here, getting wangama-thing outside from other than the person they're supposed to be with, and they call themselves wanting a monogamous relationship. Please. These hoes don't want no monogamous relationship. They want to be connoisseurs of penises. That's what they really want. They want their cake and they eat it too. As soon as that woman gives birth to that baby boy or that baby girl or those twins or those triplets or however many children that she's giving birth to, you have a DNA test on all of them. I mean that. I believe in prenups and I believe in DNA testing. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I support prenups and I support DNA testing. It is too many gold digging heifers out here. Too many of them. It's the truth. I believe in prenups and DNA testing. And it needs to be a law passed for both of them. That if a man is in a certain tax bracket, marries a woman that's outside of that tax bracket, get a prenup. And this is for all men and all women. As soon as that baby is born, get a DNA test to make sure that baby belongs to the father. And if that child doesn't belong to the father, pew, goodbye. Goodbye. Brother Lowry, that's the reason why I said there needs to be a DNA testing alongside me answering Brother Sam's question. That's the exact reason why I threw in my support of prenups. When Brother Sam asked me, how do I feel about prenups? That's why I also threw that in too. Spot on. You got too many men out here thinking they are the father and they are not. DNA testing needs to be a law. And it needs to be a law immediately. Not immediately, immediately. That's long overdue. That's right. Men better start writing a contract. I like that. You better get a shirt made. Men better start writing a contract before any sexual contact. You better get a shirt made. I'm going to get a hoodie made for that. And with that said, I rest my case. Well, as always, folks, it's been a ball. But the clock on the wall says that's all for now. I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all again for listening to me. Thank you to my new subscribers. Thank you for the returning ones on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and tag your family and friends on the Facebook side. And donate to the cause. Our Cash App ID is $Hidden1Truth. That's $Hidden1Truth. Until next time, I'm your man Yosef X. That's been my 2 cents. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Y'all have a good night. Peace. I'm out.